Good evening. Good evening. My name is Marcus Mabry, and I'm the president of the Overseas Press Club of America. Thank you. I would like to thank the OPC staff and our executive director, Patricia Krantz, for making this incredible evening happen. Thank you, Patty. There are few things more humbling than being the president of the OPC. To be president of such a club is to be eternally in awe. For our members are the people who brave risk, often mortal, from mortars to disease, to merely report the world to the world. It is that simple and that complicated. And to be president of the OPC is to know what sacrifices the members of our tribe make to accomplish that goal, and how extraordinarily well they succeed. Tonight we honor those women and men who have succeeded. But the OPC is more than just this night of seeing international photojournalists in tuxedos. It is also programs that bring the best of what we do as foreign correspondents and editors to wider audiences year-round. It is training sessions for aspiring young journalists in safety and encryption. And it is collaboration for the first time in history with our peer organizations and media companies to create a set of safety standards for freelance journalists in conflict zones. If you believe in our mission of serving the people who cover the world, then I ask you to fill out one of those cards on your table tonight. Please. Tonight, I am further honored that our keynote speaker knows all about courage under fire. Dean Baquet is a historic figure, the first African American to be editor of one of the most influential news organizations in the world. Yet, strikingly, that is not what Dean Baquet is most known for among journalists. Dean is best known for his courage under fire, before bosses who demanded too much in newsroom cuts, before governments that wanted the press to toe their line, or worse, before an almost unprecedented technological and business revolution in our industry. Exactly 2 weeks before his one-year anniversary as executive editor of the New York Times, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my boss, Dean Baquet.
In fact, he only said all those nice things because I am his boss. Thank you, Marcus, and thank you. Somehow, while we were all debating the future of print and wringing our hands over our business model, a writer for the Virginia Quarterly went to Bangladesh and reconstructed in novelistic detail the building collapse that killed more than 1,000 garment workers. Somehow, while panels were being assembled at journalism schools across the country to discuss whether ours was a profession worth going into, a young journalist named Matthew Akins, who lives in Kabul, published on Medium a hair-raising account of the first responders in Aleppo who were, quote, attendant to the city's trauma. And somehow, while we were all debating platforms, videographers were descending on Ebola-stricken Liberia, bringing back stories that forced the West to notice. I should say that I have no idea whether any of these stories won Overseas Press Club awards. But I mention them to say that great international reporting is breaking out all over the world, and maybe it's time for us to boast about it more widely. I know, big news organizations are cutting their foreign staffs, and some of them are even in peril. But you know what? It's time for us to take our story back from the hand-wringers and some of the journalism professors who seem to make a living telling us what we're doing wrong. I hope they're all here. We need to scream about the fact that there is huge and ambitious work being done in the old places, like the New York Times, the Los Angeles Times, and the Washington Post, and in the new places like BuzzFeed and Vice. We can debate the form, we can debate who does it well and who does it best, but let's not miss the point that it's being done more creatively, more powerfully than ever before. That the same technology that imperils us has also made us better. That we have tools and methods and giant, enormous new audiences. Not long ago, the Times and other traditional news organizations reluctantly started using video. Mainly because we were told, that's that thing with the moving pictures. Mainly because we were told it might help us make money. Now it is part of our lives, part of our storytelling. I cannot imagine telling the story of Ebola without the powerful video of a young man writhing on the ground outside a clinic in Monrovia, pleading desperately to be let in. Or the video of the ambulance driver whose job it is to drive around and pick up the corpses no one else will touch. Last month, a young videographer burst into my office, strapped a 3D device on my head, flipped a switch on the device and said, "Have a look at the future." He began playing a video through the lenses of a Syrian refugee camp. But I wasn't watching it. I was standing in the middle of it. A group of little girls in ragtag clothing were running around me, kicking a soccer ball. Reflexively, my leg kicked at the ball. If that's the future of journalism, of storytelling, please, I want in. Even as we debate our future, let's extol the necessity of the institutions, old and new, whose zeal for public service compel them to chase the biggest stories, even if they risk losing money, going into war-ravaged areas, even going to jail to do it. And that's not about print, that's not about television, it's about journalism, wherever the words land, on a page or on a screen. The issues confronting the world are big, and our ambitions should be at least as big. A month ago, I spoke to the Army War College. I love the fact that there's an Army War College. It was a class of future generals and a few foreigners who I have no doubt will become future despots. And what scared them the most when we had a private conversation was the same thing that scares me. Warfare that is now conducted in so much secrecy that it is hard and dangerous to cover. The United States is engaged in more clandestine warfare than at any time in history, a dramatic shift fueled by a rise in technology. The new president of Afghanistan came to the Times recently, and I asked him whether the United States was making drone strikes in his country. He paused and he said remarkably that he didn't know. There is no full accounting of how many civilians have been killed in Afghanistan or Pakistan through drone strikes or night raids in which American or Afghan special forces go in the dead of night to capture suspected insurgents. There is no full, honest accounting yet of where the United States operates drone bases, or how many strikes it makes a year, a month, or a day. Since September 11th, American military policy has taken place largely in secret, and the only institutions big enough, powerful enough, and unselfish enough to investigate is the press. There may be no time in our history when the absolute necessity of what we do is more powerfully evident. Yet our insecurity is too much on display. So let's stop. Let's go back to being arrogant, please. Just a little, not all the way, but just a little. Let's not stop acknowledging our past mistakes and learning from them, but let's go back to reminding people that we are necessary and vital, that we may change and we will change, but that we're big, rambunctious, necessary, and we're not going anywhere. Take that messages to college campuses, take that messages to government offices, and thank you.